Hey, it's Nathan from the Advanced Age Role Playing Gamers podcast. I'm working on episode 12 here, and there's a spot where I can use some kind of gore type effects to have some fun with one of the kills that the players are involved in. And I thought maybe it would be interesting to some people to see my take on what I do. By no means am I an expert, but I have fun, so why not? So first I'll just play you the little section I'm working with here.
After I bring my new friend down, we sit down for a second and I have a smoke. After hearing this buzzing sound, and he sees this enemy, he's like, "Why are you here? You cannot hurt the ghost." So I quickly grab him by his collar, and I pull him down on top of my blade, which is already out, and it plunges through his eye socket into his brain cavity. And I give him a mixy, a nice toy, like an omelet, like a twirling the pot.
Okay, so a knife wound to the eye socket into the brain, and a mixy. Great stuff. So I'm here in Reaper, and I've got, of course, all my tracks here. I've got my players. I've got my dialogue group. I've got my music track, and I've got 4 tracks set up. Looks like actually more than that. A bunch of tracks for FX, and I'm going to use a sub-project. And sub-project in Reaper is actually pretty cool. It instead of having to do a lot of time-consuming work in your main project, you can kind of take a little subgroup of sounds and kind of mix and edit those separately. So I'm going to first grab my sounds here. I've got my Media Explorer right here. Down on another screen, and all these sounds I got from Pro Sound Effects. I love what they do. So I'm going to listen again
Into his brain cavity, and I give.
All right, so you can see I reported marker there, marker number 2. So into his brain cavity, that's going to be my cue to launch the first sound. So I've got a few neat sounds here which I'll audition for you. So head explode. Got some kind of sword insertion sounds. Some other stabby sounds. Skull cracking. Blood gushing, which is great. And we got some mud sounds. And I'm going to play around. I don't know which ones I'm going to use that, but I think I'm going to start with the head explode sound. I'm going to take that. I'm going to start with this at the marker number 2 there. And I'm going to extend the area here. For my sub-project a little bit longer. And double click on Head Explode. You see it just pops it right there in my track. Listen to that.
Cavity. And I give brain cavity. And I give him a mixy. A nice.
Okay, so I could leave it like that. It's gory, but not super interesting the way it is. So I'm going to take that and put that into a sub-project here. So move items to new sub-project. And so I've got the sub-project over here up top. And there's a sound. And let me move this out of the way so you can hear it. And the thing with sub-project, you'll still hear your main project in the background while you're playing this.
On top of my blade, which is already out, and it plunges through his eye socket into his brain cavity. And I.
All right, so there it is. So I'm going to add a few more tracks here. I'm going to bring in this goo one, which I'll probably use for the mixy. And I'm going to try out one of these sword sounds. And kind of like that one too. I'm going to drop that in also. So basically, I'm going to create this sound effect by layering these sounds.
Into his brain cavity, and I give him a.
All right, so I'm going to separate. So this is this sound right here. I'm going to solo that.
And I give him a mixy.
That's like pulling the blade out. So I might save that for the end there after the mixy. And there's this blood sound here.
Mixy.
Which is that dripping sounds pretty gnarly. So I'm going to keep that too. But I want that insertion sound.
Brain cavity.
That's good, but you don't really get that metallic blade sound. So I'm going to try these two with it. And try and line them up so they start around the same time. So I think that looks like the meat of it right there. Yeah, solo that. All right. So let's try that out.
Brain. And
actually, I'm going to move this a little bit. And line that up.
Brain cavity. And I give him a brain cavity.
Yeah, I'm going to audition this one too. So I want that insertion sound. Let's try right that way. And maybe all three. That's too much.
And I give him.
I think for a knife that probably sounds
to his brain cavity. And I give him a.
Yeah. So I'm just going to get rid of this track there. Maybe I'll move this back a little bit.
Brain cavity. And I give him a mixy.
All right, mixy. And I'll probably just move this down to this track here.
A mixy. A nice coin. Like.
Well, of course, I must have deleted that other thing.
And I give him a.
Let me bring that back. Put that back here. So I'm not going to use that first part, but I might use that second part. So we keep that. Let's see. So let's listen to this again.
And I give him a mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
mixy.
I do this because it gives me great pleasure to hear the sound of the suckling of the knife.
All right. So maybe I'll just try to loop this. That might not work, but give it a try. All right, so let's listen to that.
Cavity. And I give him a mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
mixy.
I do this because it gives me great pleasure to hear the sound of the suckling of.
All right, that was a little much. Maybe not the whole time.
Mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
I do this because it gives me great.
Yeah, maybe it's just too long. Maybe I'll just shorten this up a little bit.
Mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
I do this because it gives me great.
And maybe I'll grab the edge here and stretch it a little bit to make these sound a little bit different.
Mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
Yeah, it's. I'm gonna get rid of that middle one there.
Mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
I do this because it gives me great pleasure to hear the sound of the sucking.
All right, so that's good enough, I think. I could do some stuff in here to bring it, make it sound a little wetter, doing some EQ or some compression to it to make it stand out a little bit more. But I'll probably do it in the final product. But maybe there's this 3D thing which is pretty cool. You get for free. I'm going to put that on the mixing part, which could be kind of fun. And so this is kind of does some head-related transfer function 3D type effect. So I'm going to make it super wide. I'm going to put it. Let's see how it sounds a couple different ways.
Mixy, mixy.
Actually, I'm gonna sew that for you.
Mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
I do this because it gives me great pleasure to hear the sound.
I'm just gonna loop that section there.
Mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
I do this because it gives me great pleasure to hear the sound
There
of the
we go.
suckling of the knife brain cavity.
The suckling. You said
Yeah.
suckling of a knife. Okay.
After hearing this buzzing sound, and he sees this.
All right, that's really cool. So I'm taking a little bit off center here and making it really wide. So let's see how that sounds with the final thing.
His brain cavity, and I give him a mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
Yeah,
I
really
do this
gnarly
because
headphones.
it gives me great.
All right. So all I have to do is hit save, and it renders this and puts it back in my main project. So anytime I want to go back to it, I can just double click on this sub project here, and of course I can apply effects to the whole thing. Like maybe I'll just throw a EQ and compression on it from Izotope. I'll throw some neutron on there because it's super easy. Try out some of the presets they have. They have a bunch of presets for sound effects, and you can, of course, maybe manipulate those. Add some presence to it. So let's see what that sounds like with that.
Turns around after hearing this buzzing sound, and he sees this enemy. My blade, which is already out, and it plunges through his eye socket into his brain cavity. And I give him a mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
I do this because it gives me great pleasure to hear the sound of the suckling.
I think that's good enough. I'll probably mess around with it a little more and add a little. Actually, I'm going to add a little compression to it right now. Maybe I'll go 4:1. Here's the tank.
My blade, which is already out, and it plunges through his eye socket into his brain cavity. And I give him a mixy, mixy. A nice coin, like an omelet. Like a twirling the
Mixy,
pasta.
Mixy.
I do this because it gives me great pleasure to hear the sound of the suckling of the knife to his brain cavity, and I give him a mixy, a nice coin, like an omelet.
All right.
Like you're twirling the pasta.
So it's got a lot of presents to it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and save that and move on to the next thing. So save my project, and that's it. That's what I do. That's how I have fun. I hope it's that's super gross and maybe useful. Maybe if somebody wants to give me some tips, that'd be great too. Thanks.